Learn to let people go. I had this thought today about why it's so hard for people to let other people go. Like, why is it so hard for people to just allow other people to be who they are? Why is that so hard? Why is it so hard for people to just simply let others be? Because honestly, like, sometimes it ruins relationships. Sometimes it ruins friendships, familial bonds, what have you. If you don't let people go, then you can't really do anything. You can't really do anything with your life. You can't move on. You can't be who you really want to be. You kind of have to just live in this psyop. And I disagree that that's the best way to live, I mean, to be honest. So let people go. Don't think about, how can I keep this person in my life? Sometimes you might think that way because you care about the person, but also, if you really cared about the person, you would let them go. You would let them be who they need to be right now. Sometimes love means accepting the person's reality, who they really are right now. Not who they're going to be, not who they used to be, who they are right now. Like today. How are they treating you today? What are they doing today? Because I would argue it's very good to let people change, let people evolve in front of you. Because you would want that, right? Everyone would want another person to like let them evolve, right? Because we're all evolving all the time. We're always changing and we're always becoming something different, someone different. We're always updating. And some people aren't. And you got to keep that in mind. Some people don't update who they are. They stay the same. And that's why sometimes you have to let people go. Sometimes you have to just let them be in the same spot their whole life. Because you know what? Sometimes that's where they want to be. That is where they want to be. Sometimes you have to move on and you have to let them stay there. Okay? Life is like a river. Sometimes you're going to get stuck. You're going to stay in one place for a while, and then things are going to, the water's going to rush harder, and you're going to get moved somewhere else. And other rocks are going to stay behind. Those are the people in your life. Some people are going to stay behind, and some people are going to flow with you. But you can't expect everything to flow at the same pace. So you have to let things go. Because if you don't, then you're just going to hurt yourself. It's going to lead to heartbreak. It's going to lead to broken friendships. And a broken friendship doesn't mean that you've moved on from that person. It just means a broken friendship is more than that. It's more complicated. It's, oh, I decided to stay in this friendship because I really love this person and I don't want them out of my life. And it broke the friendship because it wasn't meant to be at that time. Like, a lot of people lose friends because they're evolving and the other person isn't. And they just have to move on. And that doesn't mean that that person isn't someone important to them anymore. It just means they have to move on. Like, life isn't the same the whole time. It rarely ever is the same, actually. And so, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, one of the biggest principles of life is you just have to move on. You just have to let things be as they were and move on, because there's nothing you can do about it. And sometimes there is something you can do about it, but sometimes you have to consider, is that really what you want? Do you really want to go back and have to try to fix things? And I don't know. Like, if you're really just supposed to move on from that relationship, do you really want to go back and try? over and over again and just go through that pain of having to accept that, you know what, I guess this is the way that I saw it before, but I just couldn't accept it until now. Sometimes a reality is right in your face and you can't accept it until later on. Isn't that crazy? You will stay in the same spot until later on because you can't accept what is actually being shown to you. People ask for signs all the time. Hey God, show me a sign. Show me how I should move on. And then they get the sign and then they don't move on. Because they're like, oh, actually, that's not what I wanted. That's not what I wanted. Yeah, but it's what you asked for. So ask for something different next time, you know? When you let people go, when you're able to evolve and you're able to have people flow in and out of your life, it is very loving because you're not controlling them. You're not trying to make them be something that they're not. You're not being this person that you don't want to be. You're just allowing. You're allowing shit to happen and you're allowing shit to not happen. I mean, everything is technically in your control, but it's also not. You control your reaction to things, but you don't control what actually happens. And your reaction changes the next thing that happens to you. When something happens again, and it's the same thing you've been going through, and you choose to react differently, you're probably going to fix the problem more than likely, unless it's the wrong way to react, unless it doesn't agree with your life. But if you're choosing to reflect and you're choosing to react differently next time, and you're letting that problem go, then you're probably going to be able to move on from it. I'm going to tell you a story about my life, without mentioning any names, of course. But I had a friend that she and I were like two peas in a pod. She was from a time in my life when I didn't know who I was yet. And I would say that it made sense that she was in my life. She was like a mother figure to me. And it was offensive to her when I didn't do what she wanted. It was offensive because she decided to be offended when I decided not to do what she wanted me to do. She chose to be offended. And it led to a lot of animosity in our friendship. And it wasn't really like one person's problem or the other person's problem. It was kind of a shared problem because I didn't know how to have firm boundaries and say, this is just who I am, this is what I'm going to do, you need to accept it. But boundaries are important to have, and if you don't have firm boundaries in your life, you're gonna get people coming in your life that are like just gonna want to step on you, and they're just gonna want to just stomp right over those boundaries, and you're gonna become a doormat. I was kind of a doormat, and at the time, my friend realized that, and she antagonized me about that. She antagonized me as a person because she knew that I was a doormat. And she probably wasn't even trying to. Some people, they really don't know what they're doing because they just are, your brain is a collection of reactions that you've had before that keep replaying until you change them. So she hadn't changed her reaction to something in her life, and that reaction was coming out in the form of antagonizing me. And I don't know where it came from, but I took it personally because obviously when you're a young person and you're not mature yet, you're going to take things personally more likely than not. And it's just life. You haven't learned how to see things from a different perspective yet, and you're going to take it personally. And of course, because it kind of came off as mean, I took it personally, and our friendship ended. And it came to a very natural end because of the dynamic. But we didn't have a big blow up. We didn't have this like huge blow up where it was like, I don't want to be your friend anymore, and you were antagonizing me, and like there wasn't a conversation where we were bringing everything up. We just, one of us decided to let the other person go, and that was her. I found out later on. She decided to let me go. She stopped talking to me, and I felt like, oh, where did she go? I noticed the space. And then I talked to her about it later on. I wanted to, understand like what happened. And she just said, like, I just, our last conversation that we had, it just felt like a natural end, and I just decided to not text you again. Which kind of hurts. Kind of hurts, but also when you look back and you realize, yeah, that's probably right. I mean, yeah, sometimes friendships need to have an ending conversation, but then sometimes they don't. Sometimes one person has wisdom and insight into the friendship that the other person doesn't have. And she was older, and so like that made sense. It really did make sense that she was the one that moved on. So that story just leads me to my point. Learning to let people go, learning to let people be themselves is good for a relationship sometimes. In fact, if it's natural, just let it happen. If someone is naturally going in another direction, let them. You can say what you want, but that person is probably not going to change until life smacks them in the face. And that's just how it is. I mean, life is just, it's going to smack you in the face sometimes. And you're going to have to learn how to deal with it. But it's not going to be because that one friend decided to give you advice that one time. It's going to be because you had a realization. And sometimes it is because of a friend, but more often than not, people aren't going to be the thing that changes you. It's going to be a circumstance of some kind, or a situation that makes you see something in a different way. And yeah, sure, people's words, they do matter, and a person giving you advice, it might spark something in your brain, but at the end of the day, that's not going to be the thing that's going to bring you to change that huge thing you've been trying to change for years. It's probably just going to be the catalyst for that change. So I think that letting people go is one of the healthiest things you can do for yourself, for the other person. My phone keeps running out of storage. I gotta fix it. But I hope you decide to let that thing go today and move on. Have a good one.